The Phoenix Project. Humanity had been part of the galactic community for less than a century. Compared to the other species, some with histories spanning millennia, humans were infants, newcomers who had stumbled upon faster-than-light travel through what the older races considered a fluke. The Galactic Council, a federation of 27 spacefaring civilizations, had welcomed Earth with reservation. Humans were unpredictable, adaptable, and possessed a troubling propensity for warfare that made the Council nervous. The Galactic Treaty of Spacefaring Species strictly regulated military technology. Each member race was permitted defense vessels within carefully prescribed parameters. Energy shields could not exceed certain capacities. Weapon systems were limited in range and destructive capability. FTL drives had speed governors installed and monitored. It was all very civilized, the Council insisted. These regulations had maintained peace for over 12 centuries. Admiral Helena Chen didn't believe a word of it. "They're lying to us," she told the United Earth Defense Council, standing before the 12 representatives in the underground facility beneath the Mariana Trench. "Our intelligence suggests at least 3 council races have secret military installations that violate every regulation they've imposed on us." Representative Okafor from the African Union leaned forward. "Do you have proof, Admiral?" Chen nodded to her aide, who projected a hologram above the conference table. "The Axremi supposedly maintained a peaceful trading fleet, yet our deep space probes detected this." The hologram showed a massive shipyard orbiting a distant moon, constructing vessels with unmistakably military configurations. "And the Vorn hegemony has an entire battle group hidden in the Kuiper cloud of their home system." "So they're hypocrites," said Representative Torres. "That doesn't justify what you're proposing." Admiral Chen's expression hardened. "It absolutely does. Humanity is vulnerable. We're the newest members, with the smallest territory and the least political capital. If conflict erupts, we'll be the first sacrificed. The Phoenix Project is our insurance policy." The room fell silent at the mention of Phoenix. For 3 years, the most brilliant minds in human engineering had worked in absolute secrecy, designing a warship unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "The Council would call it illegal," said Representative Chayan. "Only if they discover it," Chen replied. They had almost succeeded. Deep within the asteroid belt, hidden inside a hollowed-out planetoid designated Ceres 9, the Phoenix took shape. Its hull was composed of a revolutionary nanolattice that could absorb energy and redistribute it. Its propulsion system used principles of quantum tunneling rather than conventional thrusters. Its weapons. Chen smiled whenever she thought about the weapons. The Phoenix wasn't just a warship. It was a statement. But secrets rarely remain hidden in a connected galaxy. 6 months before completion, an Axremi trading vessel detected unusual energy signatures coming from Ceres 9. 3 days later, a delegation from the Galactic Council arrived at Earth's orbital diplomatic station. High Chancellor Vazix, a tall, insectoid being with compound eyes that reflected the station's lights in fractured patterns, delivered the message personally. "The Council has evidence that Earth is developing prohibited military technology," Vazix said, mandibles clicking with each syllable. "This constitutes a Class 1 violation of the Treaty of Spacefaring Species." Earth's President Adeyemi maintained a neutral expression. "What evidence would that be, High Chancellor?" Vazix placed a crystalline data node on the table. "Energy signatures consistent with quantum tunneling propulsion. Material requisitions for quantities of rare elements that exceed your registered civilian usage by 300%. And communications traffic suggesting a military installation designated Phoenix." President Adeyemi said nothing for several seconds. The Council had more information than they had feared. "What does the Council propose?" she finally asked. Vazix's mandibles clicked rapidly, the equivalent of a satisfied smile. "Immediate termination of the Phoenix Project. Full disclosure of all research and development. Installation of Council monitoring stations in all human shipyards." The insectoid leaned forward, and the removal of Admiral Helena Chen from her position, along with all key personnel involved in this violation. President Adeyemi's face remained impassive, but her voice took on a steely quality. And if we refuse, then Earth will face sanctions, isolation, and if necessary, military correction. Vazek stood. You have 7 rotations to comply. The Council awaits your response. After the delegation departed, President Adeyemi called an emergency session of the Defense Council. Admiral Chen was patched in from Sirius 9. How much time do you need? Adeyemi asked without preamble. Chen's hologram flickered slightly. 4 months for optimal testing and crew training. You have 6 weeks, Adeyemi said. The Council knows too much already. Madam President, Chen replied, with respect, rushing this could compromise. It's already compromised, Adeyemi cut in. We either launch an imperfect Phoenix or we surrender it entirely. There is no third option. The vote was unanimous. Project Phoenix would continue, accelerated to meet the new timeline. Earth would stall the Council as long as possible. President Adeyemi's formal response to the Council was diplomatic but firm. Earth acknowledges your concerns and requests additional time to investigate these allegations. We propose a joint committee to examine the evidence. The Council responded as expected. No extensions, no committees, 7 rotations. When the deadline passed with no compliance from Earth, Chancellor Vazek sent another message. Your defiance is disappointing, but not unexpected. The Council has voted. A fleet will ensure Earth's compliance. Within days, ships from a dozen Council races began assembling at the edge of the Sol system. Cruisers, dreadnoughts, and carriers formed a blockade, cutting Earth off from its colonial outposts and trade routes. At Sirius 9, Admiral Chen watched the tactical displays with growing concern. How many? 217 vessels, Admiral, her tactical officer replied. More arriving hourly. Chen turned to her chief engineer. Status of the Phoenix. Commander Reiji Tanaka had dark circles under his eyes from weeks without proper sleep. Propulsion at 94%. Weapons systems at 89%. Hull integrity at 97%. The quantum shields are only at 76%, but that's still twice as powerful as anything the Council has. And the Horizon Drive. Tanaka hesitated. Untested beyond simulations. If it works, it's revolutionary. If it fails, it won't fail, Chen said with more confidence than she felt. Your team built it. That's good enough for me. The Phoenix wasn't just a ship. It was humanity's greatest achievement. Over 2 kilometers long, its sleek, obsidian hull absorbed light rather than reflecting it. No external weapons ports mirrored its surface. But beneath that smooth exterior waited systems that would redefine space warfare. A communication came through on a secure channel. President Adeyemi's face appeared on screen. The Council fleet has delivered their ultimatum, she said without greeting. We surrender the Phoenix and accept their terms, or they attack in 24 hours. Chen squared her shoulders. The Phoenix will be ready in 18. Adeyemi nodded. Then humanity's fate rests with you, Admiral. The Defense Council has authorized Phoenix Protocol Omega. Total engagement, Chen translated. Yes. Show them what humanity is capable of. Adeyemi's image flickered. And Helena, come back alive. The final hours passed in a blur of activity. Systems checks, weapon calibrations, crew assignments. The Phoenix had been designed for a complement of 500, but there was only time to train 283. They would have to be enough. As the countdown to launch approached 0, Admiral Chen addressed her crew from the command deck. Every species in the galaxy believes they understand humanity, she said, her voice carrying through the ship. They think they know our limits, our capabilities, our place in their ordered universe. Today, we show them how wrong they are. She looked around at the faces of her crew, determined, nervous, resolute. The Phoenix rises not for war, but for freedom. Not for conquest, but for survival. Remember that when the fighting starts, The massive hidden doors of Series 9 slid open for the first time, revealing the blackness of space beyond. The Phoenix's quantum engines hummed to life, building to a resonance that vibrated through the entire ship. "Launch," ordered Admiral Chen. The Phoenix emerged from its asteroid cradle like a predator from its den, sleek and deadly, and unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The message to the Council fleet was brief. "This is Admiral Helena Chen of the UES Phoenix. We are coming out. What happens next is your choice." The confrontation. General Krex of the Vorn hegemony commanded the Council blockade from his flagship, the Inevitable Dominance. A veteran of a dozen enforcement actions, Krex had put down rebellions, quashed treaty violations, and maintained Council authority across 3 galactic sectors. When the humans failed to comply with the Council's demands, he had personally volunteered to lead the fleet. "Humans are soft," he had told the Council. "They lack the resolve for true conflict. One show of force, and they will surrender." Now, as his tactical officer reported a massive ship emerging from Series 9, Krex felt the first stirrings of doubt. "Configuration unknown, General," the officer said. "Energy signatures don't match any known design." "Size?" Krex demanded. 2.1 kilometers, approximately twice the mass of our largest dreadnought. Krex's leathery face remained impassive, but his inner eyelids flickered, a sign of stress among the Vorn. "Weapons?" "None detected." The tactical officer paused. "But our scans can't penetrate their hull. There's some kind of interference." A communication came through on the open channel. "This is Admiral Helena Chen of the UES Phoenix. We are coming out. What happens next is your choice." Krex had not become a general by being indecisive. "All ships, battle formation Trident. Target the human vessel with all forward batteries." He opened a channel to the Phoenix. "Human vessel, power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. This is your only warning." Inside the Phoenix, Admiral Chen watched the Council fleet rearrange itself into an attack formation. "They're deploying," she noted calmly. "Energy buildup in their forward batteries," reported Lieutenant Commander Dias from Tactical. "They're preparing to fire." Chen nodded. "Activate quantum shields. Prepare the kinetic lance but hold fire unless I give the order." The Phoenix continued its steady advance toward the blockade. On the viewer, Chen could see the first line of Council ships, predominantly Vorn and X-Ringy designs, with their distinctive angular hulls and protruding weapon arrays. "They're firing," Dias announced. A dozen energy beams lanced out from the Council ships, converging on the Phoenix. In conventional space combat, such a concentrated barrage would cripple even the largest dreadnought. The beams struck the Phoenix's quantum shields and vanished. There was no dramatic flare, no shield bubble visualization, no explosion of energy. The attack simply ceased to exist, absorbed completely by the quantum field surrounding the warship. On the Council flagship, General Krex stood from his command chair. "What happened?" he demanded. "Unknown, General," his science officer replied, voice trembling. "Their defensive system appears to have absorbed our attack completely." "Impossible," Krex snarled. "Nothing can absorb that much energy." "Fire again, all ships." The Council fleet responded, unleashing their full arsenals. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and graviton pulses converged on the Phoenix. The result was the same. The quantum shields absorbed everything, growing stronger with each attack as they converted enemy fire into usable energy. Admiral Chen watched the futile barrage with grim satisfaction. Status: shields at 103% capacity. "Admiral," Commander Tanaka reported with a hint of pride. "The absorption matrix is working better than our simulations predicted. We're actually gaining power from their attacks." Chen nodded. "Send a final warning to the Council fleet. Then bring the kinetic lance online." The message was simple. "Your weapons cannot harm us. Withdraw from the Sol system immediately." General Krex received the message with mounting fury. "Arrogant humans," he spat. "All ships close to engagement range. Prepare boarding parties. We'll take that ship by force." The Council fleet surged forward, hundreds of ships moving to surround the Phoenix. "They're not withdrawing," Diaz reported. "I didn't expect they would," Chen replied. "Target their command ship with the kinetic lance. Minimal power. This is a demonstration, not an execution." The Phoenix's most devastating weapon was deceptively simple in principle. Using the ship's quantum field, it accelerated a small projectile, no larger than a human fist, to an appreciable fraction of light speed, focusing it into a beam of pure kinetic energy. "Lance charged," Diaz announced. "Target locked." "Fire," ordered Chen. There was no visible beam, no dramatic light show. The only indication that the Phoenix had fired was a slight vibration that ran through the ship. The effect on the Council flagship was immediate and catastrophic. The kinetic beam punched through its forward shields as if they didn't exist, creating a perfect circular hole through the command section and out the other side. Secondary explosions bloomed along the massive ship's spine as power conduits ruptured. "Direct hit," Diaz confirmed. "Their command ship is crippled but not destroyed. Life support systems still functioning in most sections." On what remained of the inevitable Dominance's bridge, General Krex picked himself up from the deck. Emergency lighting cast red shadows across the smoke-filled command center. "Report," he demanded, a trickle of blue blood running from a gash on his forehead. "Primary systems offline," his surviving tactical officer replied. "Engines down. Weapons offline. Whatever they hit us with went straight through our strongest shields." Krex stared at the view screen where the Phoenix hovered, untouched and apparently invincible. Decades of military experience told him what he had to do. "All ships," he ordered, "disengage immediately. Retreat to Rally Point Sigma." The Council fleet broke formation, ships turning away from the Phoenix as quickly as their engines would allow. Admiral Chen watched the retreat with mixed emotions. Relief that the confrontation had ended without massive casualties. Pride in what her crew had accomplished. And concern for what would come next. "They're running," Diaz observed. "For now," Chen replied. But this was just the first test. The real challenge comes next. The Phoenix maintained position as the Council fleet withdrew beyond the orbit of Pluto. Earth's defense satellites confirmed that all enemy vessels had left the Sol system. For the moment, at least, humanity was safe. President Adeyemi's face appeared on the main view screen. "Impressive work, Admiral. The Defense Council just watched your encounter with the blockade. I don't think I've ever seen 12 politicians speechless before. It won't last," Chen warned. "The Council will return with a larger force once they've analyzed what happened. Which is why we need to press our advantage," Adeyemi replied. "The Phoenix has proven itself. Now we move to Phase 2. Chen nodded. Phase 2 had always been the riskier part of the plan. The Horizon Drive is untested in actual space. If it fails, it won't, Adeyemi said, echoing Chen's earlier confidence. "Your orders are to proceed to the Galactic Council headquarters at Axis Prime. Arrive unannounced. Let them see what we've built. And if they attack." Adeyemi's expression hardened. "Then show them why that would be a mistake." After the communication ended, Chen turned to her navigation officer. "Plot a course for Axis Prime. Prepare the Horizon Drive." The Horizon Drive was the Phoenix's most closely guarded secret. Not a conventional FTL system, it used principles of quantum entanglement to effectively relocate the ship instantaneously across vast distances. If it worked, the Phoenix could appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. Commander Tanaka supervised the drive preparations personally. Quantum matrices aligned. Entanglement field stable. Coordinates for Axis Prime locked. Chen took a deep breath. Engage Horizon Drive. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then reality itself appeared to fold around the Phoenix. There was no sensation of movement, no acceleration. One moment the ship was in the Sol system. The next, it hovered in space, less than a light minute from Axis Prime, the artificial world that served as the Galactic Council's headquarters. Transition complete, Tanaka reported, his voice tinged with awe. We've arrived exactly at the designated coordinates. Any signs of damage or system stress? Chen asked. None, Admiral. The drive performed flawlessly. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Then let's announce our arrival. Axis Prime was an engineering marvel, a constructed ring world 30 kilometers in diameter, housing the governmental facilities of all 27 council races. Its defenses were considered impenetrable, its location protected by multiple layers of security. And now the Phoenix hung in space before it, having bypassed every defense. Open a channel to the council chamber, Chen ordered. The main view screen shifted to show the council's emergency session, already in progress. Delegates from every species were arguing heatedly, presumably about the Phoenix and its defeat of the blockade. The appearance of a human face on their main display caused immediate silence. Greetings from Earth, Admiral Chen said calmly. I believe we have matters to discuss. A new galactic order. The Galactic Council chamber descended into chaos. Representatives shouted over each other in a dozen languages while security personnel rushed frantically about. The Phoenix had achieved what no ship had done in the Council's 12th-century history. It had reached Axis Prime undetected and unchallenged. High Chancellor Vasix raised all four arms, demanding order. How is this possible? The insectoid ruler finally asked, compound eyes fixed on Admiral Chen's image. You were in the Sol system less than 6 hours ago. The Phoenix has capabilities beyond your understanding, Chen replied simply. Just as it has weapons beyond your defenses, we could have arrived inside your defense perimeter. We chose not to. The message was clear. Earth could have launched an attack. Instead, they had chosen restraint. What do you want? Asked Delegate Noor of the Axremi Confederacy, their translucent body pulsing with stress chromatophores. The same thing we've always wanted, Chen answered. Equal treatment. An end to the Council's hypocrisy, and recognition of Earth's sovereign right to defend itself. Vasix's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. You violated the Treaty of Spacefaring Species. You built a weapon of unprecedented destructive capacity. A weapon we used to disable one ship without casualties, Shen pointed out. And a treaty that your own species violate in secret while enforcing it against others. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many delegates looked uncomfortably at each other. We have no choice but to demand your immediate surrender, Vasix declared. The Phoenix must be decommissioned under Council supervision. Chen smiled. With respect, Chancellor, you are not in a position to demand anything. The Phoenix could reduce this station to atoms before your defense grid activated. This is extortion, hissed General Krex, who had somehow made his way to the council chamber despite his injuries. This is negotiation, Chen corrected. President Adeyemi is preparing to address the council directly. I suggest you listen carefully to what she has to say. The view screen split, and President Adeyemi appeared beside Chen. She wore formal diplomatic attire, but her expression was resolute. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, she began. Today marks a turning point in our shared history. For too long, humanity has accepted an unequal position in galactic affairs. We built the Phoenix not out of aggression, but out of necessity. She gestured to a subordinate off-screen, and the display changed to show evidence, recordings, documents, sensor logs, all proving what Admiral Chen had claimed. Multiple council races maintaining illegal military forces while enforcing restrictions against Earth. The Treaty of Spacefaring Species has become a tool of control, not peace, Adeyemi continued as the evidence played out. The older races use it to maintain their dominance while preventing younger species from achieving true security. The council chamber had fallen completely silent. Humanity does not seek war, Adeyemi said. We seek equality. The Phoenix is not the beginning of an arms race. It is the end of one that has been conducted in secret for centuries. Chancellor Vasix seemed to deflate slightly. What are your terms? A new treaty, Adeyemi replied promptly. One that acknowledges reality rather than hiding behind pretense. One that allows each species true defensive sovereignty while establishing verifiable limits on offensive capabilities. One that replaces hypocrisy with honesty. And if we refuse? Asked Delegate Noor. Then the Phoenix remains active, and Earth will defend itself outside the Council framework. Adeyemi said simply. But I believe none of us want that outcome. For 3 days, the Phoenix maintained position near Axis Prime while negotiations proceeded. Admiral Chen remained on the bridge, catching sleep in brief intervals, always alert for any sign of treachery. Earth's diplomatic team, led by President Adeyemi herself, worked tirelessly to craft what would come to be known as the Accord of Equal Sovereignty. On the 4th day, the Council votes were tallied, 22 in favor, 5 abstentions, 0 opposed. It's done. Adeyemi told Chen via secure channel. The accord has been ratified. All member species acknowledge the right to maintain defensive capabilities appropriate to their territory and population. The Council will establish a new Transparency Commission with representatives from all races, including Earth. And the Phoenix? Chen asked. Recognized as a legitimate defensive asset of Earth. Adeyemi replied with a smile, though we've agreed not to build a fleet of them. Chen nodded. One Phoenix was enough. Its purpose had never been conquest, only to force the galactic community to acknowledge humanity as equals. Prepare for return to Earth, she ordered her crew. Our mission is complete. As the Phoenix engaged its horizon drive, vanishing from Axis Prime as suddenly as it had appeared, ripples of change spread throughout the galaxy. The ship that had been built in defiance of Council law had become the catalyst for a new era of galactic relations. In the years that followed, the Phoenix remained Earth's guardian, a silent sentinel that rarely ventured beyond the Sol system. Its mere existence was deterrent enough. Council races that had once dismissed humans as primitive newcomers now sought diplomatic and trade relationships. Technologies previously restricted were suddenly available for mutual development projects. Admiral Chen eventually retired from active service, though she remained as chief advisor to the Earth Defense Council. On the 10th anniversary of what historians called the Phoenix Incident, she visited the ship that had changed the course of human history. Walking through its corridors, running her hand along the walls of the command deck, she reflected on what they had accomplished. The Phoenix had never fired its weapons in anger since that single shot against General Krex's flagship. It had never needed to. Sometimes the most effective weapon is one you never have to use. The true power of the Phoenix wasn't in its advanced technology or devastating armaments. It was in what it represented. Humanity's ingenuity, humanity's determination, humanity's refusal to accept an unjust status quo. As newer, faster ships were developed under the protocols of the Accord, the Phoenix remained in service, not as an active warship, but as a monument to a pivotal moment when humanity had stood its ground and changed the rules of a game stacked against them. In the Grand Chamber of the reformed Galactic Council, where Earth now held a permanent seat, a small plaque commemorated the event with words that had since become famous throughout inhabited space. Peace through strength. Equality through resolve. The Phoenix showed us not how to wage war, but how to forge a lasting peace.